Cashiers of Reddit. What is the most suspicious set of items a customer has purchased? Man bought $800 of Roblox gift cards, and when I questioned him on it, he said, I asked my daughter what she wanted for Christmas, and she said she wanted Roblox stuff. So now, for not being specific, she can try and find a way to spend her Christmas budget of Robux. I really aspire to be more like this man. Not a cashier, but I've bought suspicious items together. I walked to the store to get a bathtub plug to try bath bomb, but just as I left, my mom asked me to get a toaster. I did. The lady working the stand looked at me. Are you okay? I didn't realize what it looked like at the moment. I once bought nothing but a toy for my 2-year-old nephew, a bottle of motor oil, and condoms at the same time, all for separate reasons, but it was not lost on me what connections could be made. I worked at a hamburger place. We would portion ground beef in plastic bags. Management was awful and we ran out of things constantly. I was usually the only employee with a car, so I'd go to the store down the street and buy like 5 to 10 boxes of 200 number flip-top plastic sandwich bags. I realized after a while they thought I was a drug dealer. Razors, kitty litter, and lube. I feel sorry for your cat. I bought a case of 100 shotgun shells and a loofah at Walmart once with my buddy, and the cashier was like, "What are you two boys up to?" I once bought 4 cans of whipped cream, chocolate sauce, sprinkles, and condoms. Funniest bit is that I didn't even think of how it looked. The first 3 items were for my daughter's birthday party, and the condoms were just a "oh yeah, we're out" afterthought. The cashier, male, checked me out, then winked and said, "Now you have a nice night." And I sort of stared at him for a moment until my brain fired up and made the connection. Then I laughed and said, "Oh, don't worry, I will." My husband still makes fun of me. Laughing emoji. Wouldn't say suspicious, but the amount of people who came in to buy large quantities of poppy seeds and a 2-liter of soda. I later understood what they did, but for the longest time I was confused as to why so many people were using their food stamp card to buy so many bread sprinkles. This is only one item. It's the circumstances that make it suspicious. My brother was driving along behind someone who hit a deer. They stopped, and he also stopped. As is common in rural areas, he asked if they were going to eat it. And when they said no, offered to clear it up for them. He started butchering the deer, and after gutting and a few other things, realized that he had nothing in his car to put the meat in. So he went to the nearest store to get something. He got the weirdest look from the cashier. It was only then that he realized that he had walked into a gas station late at night, bloody to the elbows, and bought black plastic garbage bags. My friend checked out a woman who bought a bottle of KY and a single cucumber. I don't know if suspicious is the right word, but an 80-plus-year-old woman bought condoms from me. Worked at Barnes & Noble's for a year. If there is something I learned from working there is, old people are freaky AF. This 72-year-old woman is checking out with me. She has a couple of books, a Bible, a home and garden book, a book on grieving, and a book about sex toys, different shapes, sizes, and how to use them. We're trained not to question/comment on what purchases are being made, if the purchase includes sexual content. I apparently forgot about my training and said, "Looks like someone is going to have a lot of fun tonight." Insert awkward stare in silence. She looks at me and says, "Praising Jesus is always fun if you have the right friend." I giggled awkwardly and finished ringing her up. Turns out the sex toy was for her granddaughter and the Bible was for her and her congregation. Till this day, I still feel like Granny was going to a weird gangbang Bible study group. Once when I was younger, 17 through 18ish, I went to the store with some friends and bought several 1 to 2 liter sodas, a bottle of muriatic acid, and a roll of tinfoil. As we were leaving the store, a plainclothes security guy stopped us and said, "I've been to bomb school too, boys." At first I thought he said, "I've been to bong school," and I was trying to figure out what kind of bong we could be making and where one could sign up to go to bong school. Anyway, he took down our names. Looking back on it, I probably didn't have to give him my name, but I was young and obviously stupid, and told us that if he heard about any bombs going off in the area, he would send the cops to our houses. We still blew up the bottles. I don't think they could even properly be called bombs, and we never got in any trouble. As part of a lost bet, a friend had to do a dare. We sent them to the supermarket with a specific set of actions in mind. 1. Go to the cash register with a big box of condoms. 2. Realize you don't have the money to buy them. Go put it back. 3. Go to the same cash register again, holding cling film and rubber bands. A 12-gauge shotgun, ammunition, antidepressants. a box of condoms, a saddle, and a case of motor oil. I was the customer. I bought an old lady style cardigan, a lady's singlet, and a G-string, thong. I am male. I realized how bad it looked at the register. I was also 26. Condoms, pins, and a copy of He's Just Not That Into You. Apparently she thought poking holes in the condom would make him permanently into her. A cucumber, some lube, a box of chocolates, and wine. It was V-Day. I cashiered for a long time in my life. Let me tell you, we do not give a F. Cashiering is miserable effing work. You get there, turn off for about 8 hours, and try and make it through. A single cucumber, a pack of condoms, and a men's health magazine. I work at a craft store. This isn't really suspicious, but some sorority girls came in and bought an unfinished wooden paddle, among other things. Selling gram scales was always fun. Our APOS system would direct us to ask if they would like a relevant item. So whenever anyone bought gram scales, we had to ask the customer if they would like any little plastic baggies, and then ask to take their personal information to sign them up for promotional stuff. Beer, Pepto-Bismol, and laxatives. I worked in a pharmacy here in the UK, and a customer brought in a very old chemistry set so they get the relevant items and teach their kid. It wasn't long after the 7/7 terror attacks in London, and some of the ingredients looked familiar. I asked the pharmacist to double check what was needed, and she asked the customer to go into the consultation room for a quick chat. Turns out, some of the ingredients could be combined to make heavily corrosive chemicals, and in the worst instance, a very crude explosive device. We denied him the sale, and the guy never kicked up a fuss, just laughed and asked that we throw the box away at our end. Lighter fluid, a pack of condoms, and a first aid kit. A baseball bat, a folding chair, and some black garbage bags. 3 teenage boys bought 8 cartons of eggs and 5 bags of water balloons. They placed them on the counter and I told them, "Make sure you don't hit my car," and they all devilishly grinned at me. Someone bought 12 bunches of celery, 2 grocery bags full. Not sure what they were going to do with it because I don't know who eats that much celery. Some guy came up with condoms and children's scissors. I worked as a cashier for a certain hardware store chain that has an affinity for the colors blue and red. My most memorable customer was a younger Hispanic guy. He approached me with a pair of tin snips and asked quietly if I thought they would break through the typical locks used by storage units, the round silver ones. I told him that he'd need bolt cutters or an angle grinder would be his best bet. I helped him find a cheaper angle grinder and a variety of discs. I never asked what he was using them for, but he said his key broke off in his unit's lock. I still wonder sometimes if he used it to commit crimes or not. Not suspicious as such, but someone returned books on irritable bowel syndrome and curry recipes to my library, and it was very hard not to say, I've spotted the issue. I am not a cashier, but as a sex worker, I am ever so grateful for self-serve checkout. Always got, depending on the person, weird, cheeky, horrified looks when stocking up on various sizes of condoms, lubricant, sea sponges, sandwich bags, baby wipes, and massage oil, LOL. A rope, a stool, and a piece of paper. About 10 years ago, I went to the store to buy condoms and called my wife to see if she needed anything. She told me to buy our toddler some new underwear. I went through the self-checkout that day. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of cashier responses to this one. Having worked as a cashier for many years, I can say in all honesty that when you're doing it, you're totally on autopilot. Like, ask me the PLU code for any vegetable you want. I absolutely won't know it, but put me on a register right now and I could bang it out no problem. A rifle and Mad Libs. I was with 2 other crap-eating grin 14-year-olds that bought saltpeter for a smoke bomb. The idea that we were doing anything sensible with saltpeter is funny. I don't think it's particularly suspicious what they bought, but how they got them. I was working at Sam's Club a few years ago. It's a warehouse store, a lot like Costco. I go in, and very early on in the day, a man comes up with 9 flats of food, over $2,000 to $3,000 worth of food. Ribs, steaks, lobster, potatoes, all of everything I could see. This dude was eating like a king. He then paid it off using only EBT food cards, multiple cards. I don't know how he got them, but he used at least 6 of them. Just a bunch of gift cards, unfortunately. Nothing too interesting. He came up and tried to buy about $500 worth of cards. I needed a manager to approve it, so I told him and picked up my phone to call. He said, "What? Why?" never mind, and ran out the doors.